to be a good president, you have to run an effective meeting. The context of all the members, not just you and your company. And I see you as that person, Brandon.
Big vision is the communication with the members.
And it's really important that we get Brandon on the board. So I think my advice for you is to be you.
And to say 2 years ago when you're like, I'm going to do it, and here we are today.
They need to be communicated with. There is that participation, and they understand the value of the board.
Welcome, Signature Real Estate Group, to another sales meeting. It looks like we're doing another broker potpourri. We're not. We're actually what we're doing, because broker potpourri is next week.
Yes.
This week, we're talking about some serious topics that have come across, sort of like a broker insight, but from all of us. What? Mind blown. Minus Shelly, who's going to be talking about some lender stuff. We want to say thank you to those of you who are in the audience here live.
Yay!
Thanks for coming in today.
And those that are online too. We've got
I was
Aaron
getting
Patrick.
there. I
you don't know who it is.
I don't care, but I was getting there.
This is going to be a great
We
meeting.
don't do introductions very well.
I give her a little control, and she just takes over the meeting. Go ahead.
I'm going to sit right over here. I'll be fine. And all of you online. Thank you.
Aaron Patrick, Tommy, Kim, Becky, Cynthia, Daryl. Doing good.
Doing good. And
The list is growing.
Yep.
Don't be shy. Put
As
your
people
comments
start
in.
getting their coffee.
Realtor standard time. They'll be in here in
Yes.
7 minutes.
Yep.
They're
With their
having the free
coffee in
breakfast.
hand. Yeah.
Aubrey, I'll just yell out names all meeting.
Fantastic. Well, that's going to be Brandon's task this meeting today, is just yelling out names. So hopefully we'll get more people that come on. Right in the middle, you'll just be like, Todd!
Janet!
Wilson the bus.
Wilson. All right, so let's get on to some like serious stuff. What are we talking about today? We've got so many. Oh yeah, hold on, some serious
Hi,
stuff. Hi, Lois. All right, we're gonna start with Miss Shelly Panzarella from Prosperity Lending.
Yay!
Happy Tuesday, everyone. I feel like I don't know which way to look.
The camera.
There.
Oh,
that one.
You look at one eye there, one eye here.
Okay.
We just.
Hey, everyone. So I just wanted to share 3 different things. I know we talked last week about business planning. Wanted to make sure if you have not yet gone through your business planning, or you're about to, and you want to chat with one of the Prosperity Lending loan officers about what things that we can help you with respect to marketing, with respect to programs, with respect to budgeting, please reach out to one of your Prosperity Lending loan officers to go through that with you as we start to plan the end of the year and then make way for 2021.
Yeah.
Also, make sure that you RSVP today on the event page for the down payment assistance event tomorrow, which will be held here in the Southwest office at noon. Sandwiches will be provided. So make sure, look, one of our live audience, love that. Make sure that you RSVP today so that I can have food and drinks available for you tomorrow. And make sure you attend, because it's going to be an amazing program about all of the down payment assistance programs that we have here available in Las Vegas. And before I close off my last of the 3, you guys are looking at me so serious.
Because I have a question, but I'm waiting.
Oh.
Patiently.
So I just want to share a congratulations story. I know. You're going to remember it? Do you want to?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll try.
Shelly, you need a mic, so you got to talk louder.
I got to talk louder?
Yeah.
So I want to also share with you.
Go like this. Lean in.
So I would like, am I tall enough?
Nope.
Okay. Can you just direct the mic to me, or how does this work?
I don't know.
Sorry, guys, technical difficulties. We just hired the boom mic, but the boom mic is in.
How
or
about?
bought
Is
the
that
boom
better?
mic, but
Is
the
that
boom
better,
mic
guys?
is in
Perfect.
pieces. Anyways, I just want to say
You got to start all over. They didn't hear you.
Okay, so top 3 topics. Are you serious? You're like,
Take
Shelly,
2.
we're
Take
live. Okay,
Good
my
morning, Lisa.
final thing is to say thank you so much to Todd Barton and the Barton Group. We were able to save a deal, which we're not going to call the token picker, quicker, upper. But I was able to help save a transaction that was, I think it started in March, right?
February.
Oh,
Yeah,
February.
so we went under contract in February. We were using a down payment assistance program. And literally 2 days before close, the down payment assistance program closed, died. So the buyer was unable to purchase the home. In a miracle, and I'm not sure how, but we actually got the seller to stay on board for over 6 months. just kept extending. Our buyer was a chef at MGM Grand, at Top Golf, actually. She got laid off from that job. She got laid off from another job she had. This lady literally cares. She's a young woman, and was super excited to get her into her house because, you're always excited to help that person that's just getting their life started, and then, it just kind of crumbled. And then we had it with some other lender, of course, before in February, that even after she got back to work, for some reason couldn't put the deal together. So I went crawling over to Shelly on my knees, begging for help. And so it was a condo.
Yeah.
Or is it a townhouse?
No, it was a condo.
It's a condo.
I think we all thought it was a townhome, but it was actually a condo. So we didn't realize that until after we got the appraisal from.
Bad information. It's okay.
This realtor of ours.
That's like a condo.
Yes.
Yeah, so we got a condo, and Shelly, from start to finish, less than 3 weeks. She's signing at 10 o'clock today, and they'll record today. So
Yay!
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for trusting us for that. So, yeah, that was a great success story. One condo, we got the condo approval, which looked like a townhome, but it really was a condo, and we were able to help her get into that home in 3 weeks or less. So, thank you.
I think
Thanks
it's
for
less
that.
than 3 weeks. So, we're super excited about it, too. So, thank you.
Thank you. That's all I got. Do you want me to pass the mic along now?
I'll bring it back. Don't worry about me.
What did you have for me?
We're good.
Well, I was going to make a comment. Nobody likes oatmeal cookies. And then also,
Especially with raisins.
I do.
That's one healthy thing.
I'm with you. No oatmeal with raisins.
yeah, no oatmeal. So
Don't
when you're
cut
doing
those out. I like
sandwiches,
those.
You like them?
do you really?
So bring two, because I like them.
These are the real estate topics that really change our lives.
But you had said that you have 3 things that you can help with. Can you give an example of just one of them, like what someone can? Because I think it's cool that we say, here's what we can do. But like one example, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Business planning from the lender's perspective.
So I'll share this today. Like I have been with my teams groups. We have sales meetings, calls, even with my individual agents that I work with. I just finished up with an agent this morning. We have an 8 o'clock standing call every Tuesday morning, and we just talk about business and what's happening on their side, what's happening on my side, and so what we're looking to do moving forward into the next year, what we're looking to do to the tail end of this year, how things have gone, what we need to tweak. So that part of it alone is having somebody who for each one of us is an accountability partner. Marketing wise, we have HomeBot, we have list reports, we have MBS Highway, we have BombBomb. There's so many, and then flyers, right? We have so many different programs that we can co-brand and work together with to help our agents become, grow their business basically together. Yeah. So that's just one.
Okay.
Of the many.
That sounded like a lot more than one, but I'll give it to you. It's okay. All right. Who's getting this thing next?
Put it in the middle, and we'll go
All
from
right.
there.
It'll be me. I
All right.
speak loud enough.
So I'm going to try to project my voice a little bit.
So am I done?
Yes, you're done.
Okay.
Thank you. So I want to talk about something that's kind of cool. We've figured out a way to put CE in all of the offices from one location. So whatever respective office you're in, we're going to have the CE class broadcast there. You're going to sign in just like any other class. There's going to be a monitor making sure that you're paying attention. But we have our first class coming up Wednesday, the 23rd, from 10 to 1. And it's on advertising and real estate. What is it? What's the title?
I thought I was done. Advertising laws and real estate. It's your law and legislative portion. So come check it out. I think one of the problems that we have in our office quite a bit is the advertising aspect. So why not talk about it? And you get your CE as well. And that's, by the way, butts and seat live instruction. So
Socially distanced butts and seats.
So you're telling me though it'll be taught in one location,
Yep.
but you can go to any of the locations and get it.
Any, like
any of them.
Yep.
hey, Shelly,
Like,
will
love
you bring sandwiches?
Yes.
No cookies.
No cookies. Yes.
Yes.
We can get that. So can we figure out who's going to be where?
Yeah. So there has to be a sign up, whatnot. Just know I'll be in this office teaching it.
Southwest.
It'll be in Southwest. It'll be projected. Thanks, Beta. From Beta's camera going live to all of the offices. So there will be a monitor in each office who will be checking on you, making sure that you're in the class, signing
We want
you
him to
in,
come, so don't scare the
signing
hell
you
out of him. Okay.
I know, but I got to make sure I'm staying compliant.
Yeah.
I got to
Sure.
I got to do my disclaimer
Sure.
nonsense. That
Yeah.
Can the monitor serve lunch and cookies too?
Yes.
I mean, they will be in charge.
Oh, good.
They will be in charge.
in
That's
that
real
office.
power.
So you get to pick out the
Thomas says that's a great idea. Linda Stewart thinks it's cool. So and,
Awesome. I expect you both there.
I'm getting a lot of comments that they do like oatmeal raisin cookies. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Goodness
Okay.
gracious.
So let's move on to topics.
Topics. Let's move on to the sales meeting.
Sorry, as you were.
I think we have too many people on this meeting. Next time we'll have to change
See, this
the
is what
size
happens when
of
you
the
invite
panel.
me.
So let's talk about the election. You just did a meeting for another company, and you found out that their meetings aren't as fun as ours.
This is going out to everything.
Yeah.
But no, I think they were a lot more serious than we were.
Broker, and it's attached or detached.
Hold on, you're gonna have to go over because you're gonna start over. You gotta
Sorry,
razz me
I
all
saw-
over again.
I saw
No.
I saw the thing flashing.
The whole time, actually.
They couldn't hear it?
I
Vaughn
saw
is
it
moving the
flash.
thing, and she muted it. So,
Are you serious?
Mitch? It's all her fault. So
Sorry.
just leave it alone.
Don't touch the mic. Don't touch the mic. So we're going to move on to the topics because I only have like 20 minutes left of this hour-long
Can
meeting.
I jump in because to follow up with the election? Because that's one
Go
of the
right
things
ahead.
I told you I was
Please.
going to talk
But
about.
we're
You
not
gotta
there
be
yet,
loud.
though.
He started.
You gotta be
I was just
louder.
razzing Brandon.
Come on.
Well, I just thought it would flow, but that's okay.
You go right ahead and flow it.
Okay, so Signature is going to have their own Meet the Candidates Thursday.
Ooh.
It's going to be a virtual happy hour. We haven't had one of those since we thought we were all opening back up. And a lot of agents have not made it into the office. We've not seen your face. And we'd like to see you. So it's going to be a very informal virtual happy hour, but we're also going to meet the candidates. So when I say informal, here's what I mean. We're not going to have one Zoom thing for the candidates to be very serious and give us their best made up lines. And then another Zoom link for the agents to watch and go, oh, this person is really pompous. I don't like them. Oh, this person's a jerk. Oh, she's really cute. But anyway, so it's going to be just all together, very casual. If you have a question you want to ask us, certain candidate, or if you want to ask them all the same question, you're going to be welcome to just raise your hand and join right in. I'm hoping to get Ashley or somebody to help me with monitoring the screen, but knowing Ashley, she'll depart at 5, and I think we'll be a little past that. So here's the thing. Trump and Biden have both said this is the most important election of our lifetime.
Yep.
The
I'm
GLVAR
telling-
election?
No, the national election.
I mean, I think the
They go hand in hand.
Thank you, LDR.
As this
So
election goes, the
this,
country
in my
goes.
opinion, I've been on the board now for 10 years, and this is the most important election in at least 10 years. Are we going out to everybody or just Signature?
Everybody.
Okay, so I'll dial it back just a little bit. So here's how it's going to work. Monday morning, 12:01 a.m., you're going to receive an email. And the email is going to tell you this is your login and this is your password to vote. So you can either copy and paste that where you have to do it. Once you log in, then you've got to put in your password. If you're like me, you're not going to copy and paste. You're going to write it down so you can put it in. And then you're going to vote. You can vote starting, if you're a night owl, at 12:01 Monday morning up till 1:59 on Wednesday. It's only a 2.5-day election. You will vote for Brandon for president-elect. You'll vote for your red for treasurer, and you'll vote for our own Ellie Morris, the only one from Signature running for the board of directors. And then you might want to vote for Chris's dad, Keith Kelly, who's very experienced. But I'm going to go over that again this coming Thursday at 4 o'clock. I posted on Facebook a little flyer that gives you the sign in for the Zoom and the password. And I'll do that again when I get back to the office. Be sure you vote. It is imperative because we have the squad up against us.
So what time is that again?
What?
Meet the
Thursday.
candidates.
Thursday,
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Very good.
a happy hour.
Happy hour. So we'll have that.
I wouldn't be very happy without them.
We're going to have a potpourri of candidates, but also I think Chris and I are going to have some of the candidates that we support on the weekend or on Friday. So
Yeah, we're excited about that. We're going to have them on. But I want to make sure everybody heard it. You know, your red slogan, I think, was really cool. What was it? Bank on me and I'll treasure your vote. For those of you that missed that, I think that's cute.
You got it, Chris.
It was funnier the first time. I just want to put it out there.
It's awesome.
Oh, it's muted again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Janet, while we're still on the topic, let's go into the other key points that you brought up. So, of course, the election, you had some announcements about a check presentation at your office.
Okay, so our very own Tamara Coulter is on the board for VA Rep and has been for years. She's also chair of the National Program for Vets Stop, Drop, and Push. And there's going to be a presentation on Thursday morning at the Summerlin office of 2 checks to people from VA Rep National. Now, I swear to you, she told me Wednesday, and I put Wednesday in last week's newsletter, but she sent me a text last night and said Thursday. She's going to be at the office about 8 o'clock. I don't know how early they're going to start, but if you can be there around 8:30 or so, maintaining social distancing and all that good stuff, and be part of the taping process, because this is going to be filmed for national presentation, we'd appreciate you showing up. I know Tamara would. She's worked very hard over the years for this organization.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, so we've come up with a number of topics that have happened this week that have been broker questions or issues or transaction problems. And so the first one, again, is attached or detached house or garage or guest house or whatever it is. But Todd, talk about that.
Let me tell you. So I have a client who calls me and says, hey, I want to buy a home. I'm excited to buy a home. And this is Durham, by the way.
Not to mention any names.
Mrs. Durham, she's a teacher, right? So she was trying to take advantage of the DPA program that was good through September that got extended, right? That we'll talk about tomorrow. Anyway, she says, but my husband needs a detached garage. So I'm like, no problem. MLS provides a spot where we can just go in the garage and click detach and all is well. So I did a search and sent it off to her. Did a bad job because I didn't go through and vet each property that was being sent to her, of course. I got sidetracked by questions, but either way. She calls up and she goes, everything that you're sending me, I don't see the detached garage. Like I'm looking at the pictures from the sky and I can't see anything detached. So I go through. There's 19 properties that match your criteria. 19, right?
That have detached checked.
Well, that has detached checked as a detached garage.
It's not detached.
How many do you think were detached? Really?
None.
1.
4.
Ooh.
4 out of 19. 15 agents in this very small pool of homes checked that the garage was detached when it was actually attached. And so, is it detached? Is it attached? What's the difference? Why do we keep getting this wrong? It happens with garages. It happens with houses.
Yeah.
I seen a violation come through my email the other day for an agent in our office that they had checked that it was a attached home and it was a detached. Now I understand that sometimes this is just a mistake, right? But what's the difference? Help me.
So
I have
a better
for those
point.
that are visual. Hold on. Attached,
I was just gonna do that.
detached,
There it is.
But
That's a whole
attached,
wait. But
detached.
hall space, right? So if let's say I build a house, my house is already built, I own it, I live in it, and I want to build, I'm not pointing at you like you're detached, but I want to build a detached. garage.
I mean, I've used them as
Right?
detached examples.
If it's a structure that would be inhabited, like has a bedroom up above, or it could be, if I detach it from the house, I have to put in a sprinkler system, which would cost me tens of thousands of dollars. But if I put a connection space, like a connected roof, like a walkway, and I cover that, it's technically
It's called
attached.
It's called a breezeway.
Breezeway, whatever.
Okay,
There's air that goes through it, breezy. I don't have to put in a sprinkler system.
got it.
And so that's one of the reasons why
So
people
is
do
that
that.
one attached or detached?
Well, what's it attached by?
I don't know.
The
Common
breezeway.
roof, right? So it's
So
attached.
it's attached.
Yeah.
All right. So I've been
But you
People
also,
don't get
but
that
you
though.
also have
There's
the-
space.
Yeah, but you also have the ones where you'll see the garage that's detached on the other side of the parking lot from the
Yeah,
condo.
that's definitely not attached.
That's definitely not attached. Yeah.
All right. So here's how you can know.
Definitely.
This is very simple. If you can walk completely around the structure while looking at the sky and seeing the sky the entire time,
Yep.
that's detached.
Yep.
If at any time you run into another wall or you don't see the sky, it's attached. It's that simple.
I can tell that this frustrated you this
Okay.
week.
Did you? But what did you do with that information? So you had 15
what I did-
agents
what I
that
did
that
is I
screwed
had-
this up.
I had the joy of reporting 15 agents
Yeah, buddy.
to LVR for having blatantly incorrect information.
As you should, by the way.
And by the way, now my client is getting accurate information instead of not accurate information. And we just had this with photos from a listing that apparently the person whoever's renting the property took the same pictures that were on the listing that they didn't take
Yeah.
and used them. And somebody said they were probably not going to report that. Guys, not that we want to be reporting everything and anything, and we don't want to become the MLS police, but the bottom line is I was frustrated because my client, who's eager to buy a home, and at the time only had till the end of September because she's a school teacher, and that's when the grant ended, was getting 15 out of 19 properties that didn't fit her criteria because agents, A, don't take the time to do it right, or B, they just don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't know the difference between attached and detached, that's the general rule of thumb. If you can walk all the way around and see the sky the whole time, that's detached.
So
At any time you can't see the sky, it's attached. 'cause that's
Never
a
heard
rule.
open
that.
your eyes. So the whole point of that, though, is when you report data error, no one knows you reported it,
No.
right? Unless you call them up and say, I'm reporting you for this, then they know.
Right.
But the whole idea is that we want to keep our data as correct as possible. And you see agents all the time just copy whatever another listing said. And so hopefully it'll break the trend of incomplete information.
Yeah, again, yeah. So it's anonymous, right? Nobody knows
Yeah.
you did it.
Well, I know.
And you really don't get them in trouble. It gives them an opportunity to correct it.
Just, yeah.
So, I mean, we need to police it, right?
Yeah, we do.
So
Let's
You
go a
don't
step
get
further. Let's
you won't get them in trouble. It's
We won't get them in trouble. We won't report anything else. But let's talk about violations. So a lot of the times, you put in a listing, or you're getting ready to close on a listing, and you pass the close date, and the brokers and the agent get a notice of a violation. You didn't update your close date, and so you have 2 days now, not 5 anymore. 2 days to update your close date. And so, what do you do if you get that notice? Number one,
Fix it.
fix it. Don't freak out. You didn't actually get fined yet, and I think a lot of people think they automatically get fined. It doesn't work that way, usually.
Well, if they read the notice, it's very
Hey,
clear. This
listen.
is a warning. You have 2 days to fix it.
Thank you. They have to read it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But people react sometimes to things that they see, and so I think the whole point is that usually they give you a grace period. You have some time to fix the issue. But what do you do if you haven't done an extension yet? I haven't done my extension yet. I'm out of contract.
Oh, good.
Uh-oh. If I just extend a close date in the MLS, it's blatantly incorrect information, right? So you could get automatically fined if you did it on purpose. So be proactive on your listings and your clients. That's
Don't
all.
wait for the last minute for
Don't
an
wait for the last
extension.
minute. By the way, I just want to point out that on the MLS, at the bottom right-hand corner, there's a button that says all of your fines, all my violations, and you can click on that, and it'll tell you if you have any and where they're sitting, and if you've ever had one, it'll tell you, the information about it. It keeps it for months.
I clicked on that button, and it just kept turning and turning and turning. It would never load the page.
You had way too many
But-
violations.
Calculating your fines.
Yeah. Okay, so back up to the good points on my list here. So what steps should an agent take if another agent doesn't reply? Meaning they don't reply to your offer, they don't reply to your request, they don't reply to your email. What suggestions do you all have for an agent to handle that?
So give us a scenario.
Okay.
So the
I
scenario
sent Todd an offer.
I submit an offer for my buyer.
Yep. and I can't get an email back. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't say received. It doesn't say I got it. You didn't say thanks. You just haven't responded. What do I do?
Call them.
Call them. Okay.
First
so
of all,
phone call.
Yeah. So if you're sending,
should do that anyway.
If you're sending an offer without making a phone call or talking to the listing agent, shame on you.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, I called. I left a voicemail.
Did you text them? And
Or
let
better
them
yet,
know
my
that-
voicemail's full.
I actually did text them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I sent it over because I was representing my client
Right.
instead of fiduciary duty.
Uh-huh.
And it's now 48 hours later, and I got nothing.
Find a new home.
Heartfelt
Just
letter.
kidding.
Find a new
Letter. So at that point, you get the broker involved.
Yes. How do you
Right.
find the broker info?
You right on the MLS under search agent, and you put in the agent's name. It'll tell you who the broker is. You click on that, and then it'll have.
Or
It's on
if you
the
go on the
MLS
listing,
Oh yeah, it's,
it's
on the
blue,
MLS printout.
right?
So simple.
it's blue, and you click on it. It's a hyperlink. It'll take you right to
Do
their
that
info.
too. I mean, if you like it.
With
easy.
their email and their phone number, the whole thing.
Yeah, if you like to do things the easy way.
Yep.
And then and then you would just send the broker an email. You would CC both of them to make sure, or CC the broker and the agent. Put in first request. I always say in the subject line.
First request. That's a
Start
mean
with
thing to
first
say.
request or second request or third request.
Or final request.
Or-
That really
right.
says it.
Yeah, or govern yourself accordingly. Just whatever you want to put, but you have to have some, just make sure you're following up because again, you represent your buyer,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So you
and
want
I
to make
think-
sure.
I think the key here is now when we've got an email that we've sent that says second request, says third request, we now have a record.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I do believe that we should call. We should be hounding and calling. But in conjunction with that, you should be sending an email that says, hey, just tried to reach out to you again for the third time on the offer I submitted. And my suggestion is always to get their broker involved. But the way you get their broker involved is you send them an email and you CC the broker. And I find that probably 80% of the time, if you send an email to an agent that has their broker CC'd on it, they respond.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just amazing.
Here's something else. Every one of us has a place that we do business in, right? And so the whole idea is after emails and texts and voicemail and everything else, they don't respond, get in your car and go to their office. Because I guarantee you this, if you show up at my office with the offer in hand and you present it to my office and say, listen, I'm going to sit here and wait with my mask on until Chris comes out of his office, what do you think would happen? I'd probably go in my office and respond to you and say, thanks for your offer and hope that you leave, right?
Hope you check your phone. I got a response.
But that's the whole idea. There's a lot you could do to make that happen, but it's a great point. Don't just sit and wait.
Yeah, and I think it's important you get the broker involved. I mean, give the person time to respond. I mean, time is not 10 minutes. Time is not 2 hours. Typically it's a 24-hour period before you go, okay, I got no response. And then you send a second email, and you can just include their broker. And I'd probably include your broker as a CC. You don't need to call the broker and give the whole story. I mean, this is pretty standard procedure. This is what you should be doing anytime you have someone who's not responding.
Okay.
I know half of you are saying, wait a minute,
Couple
what if
things.
it's the broker?
Yeah, what if
And
it's the
it is
broker?
most of the time.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, if you're receiving offers, make sure that you're replying and letting people know you've received
You
them.
have to, by the way, based on the Realtor Code of Ethics, you and I and,
And
Vanita.
You need to respond to
anyway.
it. You need to respond to it, but you don't have
But
to say
no-
I received it.
Well, you have to respond that you got an offer. I sent you an offer. I proved that you got it. You have a duty to respond to me in writing.
You also
But
have
not-
a duty
not
to
in-
forward that to the seller.
But that's the
Present all
response.
offers.
The seller's response needs to be communicated back. You don't have to tell them you received the email, but I would say you should do that.
You
right?
actually now have a duty to respond in writing to any offer that you receive.
understand.
Once
but
it's
not-
accepted. then
Once
it
it's
doesn't matter.
accepted, right? Okay, so the other thing is, Tommy had a question. What do you do when the buyer's agent does not send you the final documents after 4 requests? You don't want to be a jerk, but it holds
Be a
me
jerk.
up.
Well,
Absolutely be a jerk.
Contact the broker. Standard
Same
procedure.
Same
But
process.
here's the other thing.
Two times you give them an opportunity, and the third time you've got to get the broker involved.
Yeah.
You have a client to represent at the highest level, and if they can't participate at that level, their broker will.
Their broker and your broker,
Yes.
by the way.
Yeah, CC it.
CC us, not Brandon,
No.
but CC the rest of us. Not every one of us, but whoever the office manager or the
Managing broker,
managing
yeah.
broker is for your office. CC that person so that they're also aware and can get involved.
And I think too, benefit of the doubt the first time, right? I mean, I've gotten an email before where that email went into my spam and I didn't get it, and I think that's why your point of text and phone call are important. But, constant follow-up. I mean, you took all the steps to write an offer, and now you're going to wait 2 days. I mean, that makes no sense. That's like getting the buyer there and saying, oh, you want to write an offer? We'll wait 2 days to write it. You'd never do that. So I think it's aggressive follow-up. All right, next topic we have, let's talk about backup offers, right? We've had this conversation. We've talked many times about backup offers and are they a real thing? And, I can't double escrow a property and the whole thing.
This is going to be good.
Yeah. So, but not only backup offers, let's talk about the process when I have multiple. Do I do a highest and best? What happens if the agent on the other side is like my best friend, or in my case, it could be a relative in the business? I don't know. I'm related to a lot of people in this. What do you do? What do you do when you have those other offers that didn't get accepted?
Okay, who wants to go first?
You go first.
Okay, so if you have,
I'll save the right for rebuttal.
I know you're waiting.
It's your witness.
So let's say that you have Todd presents an offer or submits an offer to a listing that I have, and Janet submits an offer to a listing that I have. Now I have to sit here and present that to the seller. The seller decides on one offer over the other versus doing a highest and best. Now, again, that is up to the seller. So let's be very aware of the fact that this is not your decision. It's your seller's decision, right? So the seller decides if they want highest and best. If they do, then I go back to both of them saying highest and best is what's requested right now. And there's a lot of arguments about whether you're allowed to disclose or not. I don't want to get into that because that's a whole different topic.
So-
Hold on, let me back up for a second.
So when you present the offer, your seller has multiple choices.
Yes.
Correct.
They can accept one of the offers.
Yep.
They
Right
can
away.
counter one of the offers. They can counter both the offers. They can ask for highest and best, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of options there.
But if they counter both offers, let's make sure we're using the right
The
form.
correct addendum.
It is the seller's counter offer or multiple counter offer
Yes.
form.
Why that
Do
form?
not, because otherwise you could put your client in a position where they're accepting two offers.
Because
We've had that happen.
And a very unhappy broker.
Yes.
Yeah, very unhappy.
So
Three
on both
brokers,
sides.
to be
let me-
honest
let
with
me
you.
ask this
3
question.
brokers were
If I've
unhappy.
got 2 offers.
I'm not
I
done.
know, but I'm going to get there.
Okay.
You're done.
If you have 2 offers and your seller says, I want to counter offer number 1
Yep.
only,
Okay.
do you use a counter offer or do you use a multiple counter offer?
Well, at that point, if they only want to
And
counter,
if we don't use a multiple counter
Well, sir, you can only ask one question at a time. We apologize.
It's all the same question. How do we properly disclose to both parties? Because we're obligated to disclose multiple offers
No?
to the other side.
Only if you've
Only-
got
Only with
permission,
the
right?
seller's permission.
if the sellers have given you permission, which is in the listing agreement, it's on page 1 now, right?
If you filled it out correctly.
If you filled it out, because we're filling out,
Yes.
listen to your broker insights, full, complete forms,
Yes.
fill everything out.
What's a broker insight?
Oh, good Lord. Every Wednesday.
It's in the listing
I'm
agreement.
kidding.
Every Wednesday, I think it's at like 6 a.m. Check the newsletter. Yeah, read your newsletter. Damn it, I forgot my thoughts.
All right, so wait, wheels back on the bus to your question, right? So the seller, to Brandon's point, the seller makes a decision based on what? I, as the listing agent, compile information and everything I know to this point, and I come to my seller with a plan. Mr. Seller, here are your options. Like Brandon said, he laid them all out. Now, here's what we know to be true. We have a well-priced property, $250,000 property. It's right at market, and I've got 10 offers. 7 of them are FHA, all above list. There's 2 or 3 VA, and there's 1 cash that's right at the price. And so the question to my seller is, Mr. Seller, based on what you see here, and I will argue that you cannot present an effective offer without doing a net sheet, because I could have all of those offers, and if I can't tell you the net, I didn't present all the facts, right? So that's my argument.
Totally agree.
100%.
So
Not
now,
doing net sheets or not.
you should.
No, I'm just kidding.
And there's a document that allows you to do it on 1 page, but if you have 10 offers, you should do like an Excel spreadsheet and line it out. Anyway, so now we have a plan, right? I go to my seller and I say, okay, what do you want to do? Well, I want to take the highest offer. Well, we have 7 FHA offers that are all above list, but I can't guarantee the home would appraise. But what if the cash offer came up to the same price? Well, of course, I'd accept the cash. Well, how do I convince all offers of what could happen? And so that's what a lot of agents do. They do a highest and best. Now, here's the difference. Mr. Seller, can you understand how competing these offers against each other would benefit you and make you more money? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm suggesting that we tell all the offers that tomorrow at 12 o'clock, you and I will be sitting down and we're going to look at the offer and decide on one or the ones you want to counter. And let's give everyone the fair chance to present their best offer, now knowing, because of my listing agreement, that there's multiple. Does that sound like a plan you can get on board with?
I could.
Do I have your permission to go forward and do that?
Yes.
Great. Now I notify all of you that your offers are in a highest and best situation.
But that wasn't his
How do you
question.
notify
I'm
them?
getting to his question
Okay.
How do you notify all of them?
in writing.
In writing, just an email.
Yeah, just an email in writing. Hey, I'm letting you know this is happening. I don't have to counter anything at this point. I'm just getting
My
information.
seller has allowed me to disclose multiple offers, and we're asking for your highest and best.
Yep.
Meeting tomorrow.
Now,
Wait, but he asked, what if I have 2 offers and I'm only
I'm like
accepting
so close,
the
I'm
seller?
almost tripping
I know,
over
but
it.
I'm going to do it. And so the one buyer is the one that the seller wants to counter back,
Yes.
but not the other one.
Yes.
Cool. You let the second buyer know that they're on hold, essentially. You counter back the first one, right? And once you've countered that first one, you have a deadline by which to respond. Offer number 2 is on hold until offer number 1 responds by that deadline. If they haven't responded by the deadline, rescind it.
so
Because otherwise you could, if you do another counter offer with offer number 2, you could be in,
but you said on hold. How long is a hold?
well,
You know,
you inform, communication.
You don't even have to.
communication.
You don't have to inform them as long as you're still in the window of the time of response. You're okay,
Yes.
right? You don't
Right.
need to complicate this in any way, saying we're going to counter this one and get them all up in arms.
Because if they all cancel.
Just
Right.
counter the one, tie it to the timeline so that you make sure that you don't lose the offers. But I have a question here from Lois. Do we need to do a highest and best sellers multiple offer form for each offer?
Nope.
No.
You don't have to do anything. And you always risk the idea you could lose offers. Because
Right.
when you counter an offer or you extend the timeline, you could lose all the offers, right?
Mhm.
But the seller has to make that decision. It's their risk, not mine.
Yeah, but I think, and Lois, I might be wrong in understanding your question, but I think the counteroffer, the multiple counteroffer situation has a spot for the agent and the company that you're going to be countering. So in that case, you would have to do each one. You wouldn't have
But I'm
like
not
one
countering all of them.
generic, right? But if you were doing a multiple
If you countered all of them,
counteroffer,
yeah, absolutely.
then you would have a different counteroffer sent to each
Yes.
agent from different companies because it requires that on the first
Right.
line.
It would be a different multiple.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Different.
Yeah.
Different
So
multiple.
it could be different terms too, by the way. If
Yes,
you
it
if
could.
absolutely have different terms
Yeah.
to each one of those.
But the whole point of a
offers.
multiple counter is it's not binding until it's countersigned by my seller. So I could send you all different terms, and even if you agree to them, until my seller picks the one they want and sign it, it doesn't matter at all. It's not binding to the seller.
All right,
And that's
I'm
why
tired.
you-
I'm
All
done.
right,
I'm
Aubrey
overwhelmed.
has a question for you, Chris.
I haven't finished this other question.
Which form allows you to have multiple net amounts on the same page?
Okay, so there's a notice in transaction desk. It's the notice of net sheet, whatever, but it has like 3 sections on it: offer 1, 2, and 3, and it's right below the net sheet. So you can use that, and that's for up to 3 offers, or you can just create your own.
There you go.
You can
You
also
can-
do it on every single app that
Thank
every
you.
single title company has
Yes.
out there.
Right. They allow for multiple
That's
counteroffer.
where you can compare offers.
What's next?
Your first question, I remember, but I'm not going to get there. But
No.
I do want to address one thing: best friends, friends in the business, the whole thing. So I want to talk about this because this is an ethics item.
Mm-hmm.
So Todd is a friend of mine, believe it or not, and Todd writes an offer on my listing. And Brandon really isn't a friend of mine. I may vote for him, but he writes an offer on my listing. If I treat Todd differently than I treat Brandon, I could be hinging on an ethics violation because I didn't treat them fairly, even though I know Todd. And if I give Todd inside information that I didn't give to Brandon, I could put myself in a bad situation because people would know, oh, Todd and Chris are best friends. Of course, Chris is going to give him, the ability to get the offer.
It's that whole scenario when you have multiple offers and suddenly the offer that gets accepted is with an agent in the exact same office as the agent that has the listing.
Yes.
You have to think to yourself, I wonder.
Or it's
wonder if
my
I all
offer,
went down the right train track.
right? My offer gets accepted on my own listing. The whole point of this is that as long as you do things fairly to everybody, you treat everyone with the same ability that they can do the same thing, then you'll never get in trouble for that. If I let everyone know, including myself, there's a highest and best, yeah, do I have inside information because I thought of it? Absolutely. But as long as I did it fairly, you'll never get into trouble. And I just want to make sure that's clear. Anything else?
I would love
Yes,
to sit on
but
a
that's
panel that's got an agent that didn't represent their clients in the highest and best because on their own listing.
Because the seller is the one that's going to get pissed off after closing because the buyer who didn't get the house is going to tell the seller, hey, I would have paid you $1,000
Yep.
more. I would have paid you $500 more, right?
And it happens.
So, and I want to throw out one other scenario, because I had this exact same scenario in my office yesterday. But my agent called more than once when it got to the multiple counter situation. And the listing agent, God bless his heart, whoever he is, I don't know, actually picked up his phone every time and talked to her. And she asked intelligent questions. What is your seller looking for? What can we do to make our offer more pleasurable to your seller? And he told her late yesterday, he said, I'm meeting my seller at 6:30 to go over all the responses to the multiple counter offers. He said, but you are the only, and there's like 10 offers.
Amazing.
You are the only agent who has ever called me. Everybody else has sent me a 3 or 4 word text. And he said, and my sellers are aware of the fact that you've cared enough to call and check.
That's great advice.
So communication goes a long way.
To the point, there's no real such thing as a backup offer because I can't sell a home twice, right? But like you said, you're in a holding position. Now, the reason why we're having this conversation is a couple of real estate commissioners have argued that the term backup offer doesn't mean anything in the state of Nevada because of the way our contract is written. In Utah, backup offers they actually put them together, they sign them, they're held in.
There's actually a backup offer.
Yeah. But in Nevada, that's just something that you could get in trouble for because technically you've sold a home twice. And it could have conditions. Anyway, we'll go into that in a different class.
So if you are planning on doing or having a backup offer, like a legitimate backup offer, please talk to one of the brokers because we will help you get the right wording in place for the counteroffer or addendum that will make it real if it's allowed.
So we also have a question here, and this I'm glad that they're bringing this up too. It's can a buyer offer an escalation term in their offer?
No.
Ooh.
We talked about this in a sales meeting.
Not in the state of
Wait,
Nevada.
it was in a sales meeting. I want to say like a month ago. Janet brought it up. I wasn't here, but it's in the newsletter. It was also in Nevada Realtors sent out a newsletter that had it. There was an article by our attorney from Nevada Realtors, our legal counsel, that said no escalation clauses. They're not allowed. The Nevada Real Estate Division frowns down upon them.
That's not a good thing when they frown down upon things.
Yeah. I mean,
here's why.
Whether they frown or they frown down, it doesn't matter.
Why?
It's the same thing, but they frown on it.
The whole point is an escalation clause does not have an end, right? If I say the highest offer and I'll go $2,000 above, Brandon offers $500,000 on my $300,000 property, which you think he'd never do. I just tied my client to an undetermined end amount, and that's when people sue people. And so the whole point is that you shouldn't put yourself in a box that has no end. You should have set conditions.
So can I write an escalation clause that has
Don't call it an escalation clause.
a top amount?
No, it also gives an unfair advantage
All right.
to not fair dealing. As the
I like
term
where
the
we're going with
commission
this
used.
because they got good questions. I'm not
Okay,
sure what's
so
on
you
here.
have you made a good point as well. Is can I do an escalation clause and have a
Terms.
top number, like willing to go $100 above highest price,
Not to exceed
not to
2,000.
exceed blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
So actually, the real estate division came out with a paper about 5 years ago that did provide. Remember when the market came out of like 2015, and it started to get really hot? The real estate division actually gave terms for an escalation clause that had a start and an end position. But the problem was when you're in multiple offer situation, multiple people are doing them, becomes extremely convoluted, and most people are bad at paperwork. And so I would probably say that you're risking your license on something that you may not even need to do.
So if you're going to do it, talk to a broker.
Yes.
So don't do it. If
No,
you want to
you can't
learn
do
to
it.
write your
Don't
offer
talk to
strong,
Janet.
if you want to write your offer stronger, sit down with the broker.
She's right.
We
You
can-
can't do an escalation
Right.
clause, but there are clauses that you could do that could have a better effect, a better value, and they're not escalation clauses.
They're typically appraisal clauses, right?
Yes.
They're in reference to the appraisal.
But
So my client would pay
X number above
dollars.
appraisal.
And you're not an attorney, so don't-
But again, if you're going to do those, make sure you run it by the broker because a lot of times you write them and it's clear to you.
Yeah,
But the
it's
way
not.
they read it, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So be very, very careful.
And the
when-
burden is on the person who writes
Yes.
the contract when
But
it
you're
comes
still
to
going to have.
litigation.
You're right, but you're going to have this problem of these getting to closing, and you're going to have two differences.
The bigger point is when you write clauses like that, I'm not an attorney, but when you write clauses like that, you could actually invalidate your E&O coverage. So now that when you are in a lawsuit because you wrote these great clauses, you have no insurance. And so that's the bigger concern, right? And what are you really trying to achieve? Highest and Best does that all.
Well, I just want to practice as an attorney, so I try to write these quick clauses.
Yeah.
So
Me for thou
Aaron has
Just so you know, that's a code of ethics violation.
Okay, Aaron has a question, and then we'll move on to your next thing. Is there an ethics violation on an agent with a listing that also intends to double end a deal that has multiple offers on the property and doesn't tell the other agents?
No.
No ethics violation.
So you can
it's
actually-
a seller's decision on which
It's a
offer
seller's
they're
decision,
going to be
but I don't
moving
have to
forward.
tell all the agents that I have an offer in competition. But could I tell the agents? There's no confidentiality clause in the state of Nevada for our contract. And so I could tell them, but I have to tell them all. But I don't have to do any of it. I can represent my property because I didn't make the decision on the offer. My seller did.
But the one thing you would have to disclose is if there's a variable commission.
Yes.
If you're lowering your commission to go with your offer, then you would have to disclose
You
that.
put it in the MLS as a
And let's
variable.
be
But if
really
all things are fair, then you're good.
let's be really clear about this too, is if you end up, if there are multiple offers and you as a listing agent are going to end up with the accepted offer, get that in writing from your seller. In writing. Did I say that loud enough? In writing. Can
What
we
do you
have
mean?
like a, make sure you get
You
it.
mean like the offer signed?
Make
What do
sure
mean?
you get it in writing.
Get
I
what
know
in
the
writing?
offer is signed, but ultimately that the seller is the one that made that decision, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I
know
think
what you're
that that's going to be key because if someone does say, well, that's because, she's the listing agent, then that's how she got it. I think that, again, having as much in writing with the seller is the best.
And I think that was the point, right? The point was for me to take a listing and sell it.
Right.
So I can't believe anyone's, when you notice that I do it, it's the best thing that could happen for being a great agent, right?
It's okay, right?
It's okay, yeah.
It's okay that you
Yeah.
do that. Just make sure.
But I
that
treated everyone
you
fairly.
do it fairly.
Correct.
Now, what about this? What if I know for a fact? I know it for a fact. I don't know how I know it for a fact, but I know it for a fact that they didn't present my offer and their offer got accepted. What could I ask for?
A review.
Well, I could do that. I could ask for an audit of the file through the MLS, but more importantly, I could ask their client to provide a signed rejection. Now, do they have to give me one?
Yes.
They have to respond.
They have to respond, but it doesn't say they have to go and sign the last page of the RPA. They just have to give me a response in writing, but I could ask for it. And I think that in your instance, it's proof that I presented that offer, right?
Very good.
Can you just send the
You ready
last
for my
page?
list now?
Can you just send the last
I think
page?
the best way to respond to an offer to reject it is to check mark rejected on the last page of the offer, sign and date it, because it shows in the timeline, and send that back. I mean, that makes
What about
sense.
initial the rest of the pages? Is that important?
I
Do
don't
you
have
have
to
to?
do
You don't have to, right? As a
Yeah.
as a listing agent, you don't have to provide that. But should you?
No.
As a good business practice?
No.
Ew. Yes.
No,
Yes.
no. That's a lot of extra work.
It's
for
a lot of
me.
work.
I
but
understand.
I think
No.
you just put a line
Yeah.
across.
Now
and
you've
write
gone too
rejected
far.
as
All right,
big as you
look.
can.
Now you've gone.
Listen,
we were
if
here
that's-
and you're over here.
If that's too much work, I know, but I really think that this is
Well,
All
important,
right, what's the
right?
next question?
Everyone has an opinion. That's
Get
okay.
get a transaction coordinator
Call
and
the
let
broker.
them do the work.
Yes, that's true. Let them do it.
See,
so,
I knew you'd like that.
So
point.
this is a biggie. This is a biggie, and it's something that just happened in a transaction that I'm dealing on. Seller rehabbed a property. Before the property was rehabbed, they had an issue with bed bugs in the property. Okay, and they went in. They had it exterminated. They had it completely fixed. They spent a lot of money to have that done, and then they completely remodeled the entire house. They filled out their SRPD, provided it to
Why
the other
did you have
party.
to talk about
Right?
Are you itchy?
Little creepy crawlies everywhere now. And so now they have proof that the work has been done, but they forgot to note it because they rehabbed the property and there isn't currently an issue. But it says on there, is there any pest or what do they call it? What's infestation? So do they have to go back and correct an SRPD if they've cleared it up? And what should they do?
Well,
I would.
What does the SRPD say?
It says, is there an infestation?
So, is there an infestation?
No.
If read exactly.
Not that they know of.
So then the answer to that is, do they have to disclose it? No. Should they disclose it? Yes.
Why?
Because I think that
Because if
Do the right thing.
If they find a bed bug, right,
protection. That's all.
and
What if the bed bug was brought from somewhere else? What if it's a
it doesn't matter because
Different
nothing
bed
to do
bug.
about it.
international bed bug.
Let me see your passport.
Where's your mask? No, the way I look at the SRPD is it's almost a get out of jail free card. It's your one opportunity to disclose everything and get the buyer to sign
Yes.
off on it, and you move forward. And if you ever ask the question, or you're asked the question by your seller, should I disclose? The
Yes.
answer should be
Yes.
yes.
because you have nothing to lose by disclosing. You have everything to lose by not. So,
Exactly. So the point is the SRPD says, is there? And the answer would be no, there isn't, because I hired a professional, not myself. I didn't go in with, my own bug radon or whatever it is. radar. What is it called? Rate.
It doesn't.
And I didn't just spray it myself. I had it.
Yeah, but that doesn't get rid of bed bugs. Very-
Let's get some of that.
But the whole point is that you're right. If you have the ability to do it, Mr. Seller, it's in your best interest. I think that's a good point. Okay.
Well, so technically they could answer the SRPD as no, because there isn't currently, and they could still disclose on page 3 that upon purchasing the property, we found this, and here's a copy of all the receipts and all the work that we did.
She said that. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't paying attention.
You just said it way more eloquently.
Yeah. All right.
Ew.
So is there
Next
any questions to
topic.
that?
No, nobody
Scorpions.
wants to talk. Nobody wants to
No.
talk about bed bugs.
Hey, you know that
Go.
happens. Scorpions. I was out scorpion hunting, and you posted on Facebook, and now you're selling your house, right? And so obviously you know that there's a scorpion issue in your property, but yet you go to sell it and you don't say anything about it.
You know, that's a great point because when I bought my house, they told me there was no pest infestation, but there's been scorpions all over my house.
But we do live in a desert. We know that.
Come visit.
So
Nope, you have scorpions and
No,
bed
just
bugs.
if your skin isn't crawling, let's see how you like this next topic. So I want to talk about the power of follow-up with the client and the power of a thank you note. So about 9 years ago, believe it or not, 9 years ago, I had a lady that I went over to her house and I did a listing presentation. And for about every 6 months for 4 or 5 years after, I immediately sent a thank you note telling her thank you for having me to her home, even though I didn't initially get the listing, they didn't decide to sell it. And I kind of followed up, and I followed up for like 3 or 4 years, every 6 months. And then I literally just stopped because obviously I wasn't getting that listing. Yesterday, I got a phone call, a voice message from a lady, and I had no idea who she was. I have no idea what property she was calling about because I've never remembered it. And she said, hey, listen, I'm calling because you gave me a thank you note, and I had you at my house, I don't know if you remember, about 9 years ago, and I'd like to now list the home, and I called you.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Right?
That is great.
You know why it's awesome? It's really awesome for me, more than any other people. Because about 9 years ago, when we were partners,
It was right after that.
And you get a
It was right after that. I mean, like days after
Wow.
that. But here's a couple of things I took away from it. Number one, my phone number has not changed since I got into the business. And when I think about it, and I think of all the thousands and thousands of dollars I've spent advertising my phone number, it's important that it's a business number and people remember it and they retain it, and it's on stuff that I've given them. So if you change your number a lot, that's not a good business idea. Second piece I took away from it is thank you, right? The most powerful word you can say in sales is thank you. Two words. And just,
Gratitude.
That's
That's
all
one
that
word.
stuck with her. Not anything else that was done, not any market pieces she's gotten, but just that I was willing to say, thanks for having me over to your house. And the third thing I got, you want to know what it is?
A listing.
That's right.
And an opportunity to get more,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
But-
that's awesome.
But you know, the funny thing is, she said, you followed up with me every 6 months, and then, after a couple of years, I stopped. And so that led me to believe that maybe all of those leads that are in that computer that I have to find someplace that belong to Todd, I need to go back and find those and start making some phone calls, because 9 years later, it's now right for her to sell that house. And so how many people have those clients sitting out
I
there?
will give you all of those leads. I know exactly where they are. For a 25%.
Anyway, I thought that was a pleasant story.
That's awesome.
A copy of your thank you note, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's real simple.
I've had similar
Thank
stuff
you.
happen with pop buys.
Yeah,
Like
Popeyes.
doing the pop buys once a quarter, touching base with all of your clients in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's once a month or once a quarter, just saying hi. I just had a listing that turned into 2 listings, that turned into 2 listings and a buy.
Yep.
3 transactions, 1 pop buy.
Well, the weird part is, I've been in the business now, I think this is my 16th year. And I thought I had every client, every person I've ever met with, I thought I had them down, all of my past clients. So I started putting these together, of all of Todd's past clients. I started putting these together the other day, and there's 2 people that I sold homes to that are on that list I can't remember. And when I went back through and actually pulled up the information, I got them off of an open house and one off of an auction property, and I just didn't put them into my database, and they're still in the home. But I just, didn't think about it. And so how much business do we all really have with our time in the business that's sitting out there? Kind of crazy to think about.
Oh, it happens because years ago I had a partner and we used to farm this neighborhood, mailed out a little newsletter once a month. And I had to move to Guam. I was there for 2 horrible years. But while I was there, Carmen quit farming that neighborhood. And then I came back, went right back to the same office, same partner, whole bit. I'd been back about maybe 6 months, and this lady called me, she called Carmen because my cell number had changed because I went to Guam. And she said, I've been getting your newsletters for years. Well, we hadn't sent her one in 2 years. And I'm now ready to sell my house. And she said, I've kept a copy of your newsletter in my kitchen junk drawer for all these years.
Wow.
Read your newsletter.
Read your newsletter.
Read your damn newsletter.
That's a great point.
I think in sales, we have to understand that no doesn't mean no, it just means not right now.
Yeah.
That's all it means. So it just means I'm not ready today, but someday, 9 years from now, I'm probably going to be ready and I'm going to go.
So
I mean, I've taken several probate listings from the person who passed having my card on the fridge.
They're not going to call you in 9 years.
But their kids do.
Yeah.
Kids come, they see the fridge, they're like, that's the guy you wanted, let's do it.
Yep.
It's as simple.
So we're coming to the end here. Do you have
What?
more
I
on
have
there?
one
No.
more
We
have like
to
six
say before
She has
we
one
end.
more thing that we have to.
Okay,
highlight.
but let's answer this question for Joel real quick. Say you were aware there are some scorpions during the summer in your area and see some in the house. Will a pest notice disclosure be sufficient enough, or is that too generic? Do you have a specific scorpion?
No, there is,
Scorpion
but
specific?
what they call an infestation is where you notice multiple of something that's infested your home, meaning it shows up on a regular occurrence. That's an infestation, right? If you find one scorpion and you've never seen one in 3 years, and you don't have any proof of any anywhere, that's not an
Then
infestation.
the disclosure would
Yeah.
work in that case.
And so if you have an infestation, you have to get a professional. Like in Desert Shores, there's a set of condos that are on the outskirts of the community, and they have roof rats. That's an infestation, right? Because you can hear them in the attics
Ew, God,
at night
what are we
eating the
talking
bed bugs.
about?
They brought them from Guam.
Yeah.
Well,
All right,
Spanish
what was-
is the same thing.
What was your
Yeah.
last one?
they have
Not
they
me,
have
it was
sewer
Janet.
rats.
No, you have one more?
Oh, yeah, my last thing, I just want to tell you that the MLS board approved and the LVR board approved their motion. And effective October 1st, we will no longer be using master bedroom in our listings. It will become,
Bow chicka wow wow.
no,
Room.
Brown chicken.
primary bedroom. I don't know how that's going to work if you have dual master suites, or you can say dual primaries. I mean, but it's been passed effective October 1st.
Read the MLS.
They're the ones, yeah. Cool.
Cool. Well,
So you didn't need my 2 topics.
No, I have them right here. I was going to actually go to them real quick because we have like 3 minutes left, right?
That's real
Okay.
quick.
3 minutes.
Okay, good.
So the topic was brought up, because of everything that's going on in the marketplace, and you can't show tenant occupied homes. How does a tenant get out of a lease to buy a home?
and 3 sentences are left.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. So just call me.
No, so the point is,
3 minutes or less.
no, my tenant wants to buy a house. They
Yes.
want to go to the owner.
I understand.
So-
So I think
Can you
again,
get out of a lease?
you absolutely can. You have to have, first of all, be very careful what you advise the client, right? Because that contract is not between you and the client. It's between the tenant and the landlord, right? You don't want to be guilty of contractual interference. You would tell the tenant to let, and this is happening with me right now. In fact, I've got a lady who's got a agreement listing. I can't do this fast. A lease agreement that doesn't end until February. She is buying a house, closing on it this Friday. The landlord actually called me and said, what should we do? And I said, well, you can sell your home. You could do this. I mean, she's willing to take on the lease payments until you find another tenant or until you have, you sell the house, which
Sure.
I'm happy to do. Ding. And then, so either one of those situations, or I'll help you get it back on the market to get it rented again, because they cannot collect rent from 2 separate people. If they don't find another tenant for that home, that current tenant that lives in there is still liable for that rent.
Yep.
They can sue them, they can go after them. And Todd asked the question, well, would they? If your rent amount is like $3,000 or $4,000, you better damn well believe that landlord's coming after the tenant, right?
Yep.
But if it's, $1,100, $1,200 small claims, you said, I'd go to small claims all day, all night for that.
But it's real easy for a landlord to go after you. All
Correct.
you got to do is turn your account over to collections, and they don't have to do anything.
Right.
And it'll go on your credit and everything else. So a lease is important. But the other thing to keep in mind is there's a difference between a property manager and you're working with a tenant trying to get out of the lease. And somebody that's selling a house to a tenant in another property and getting involved in that. you shouldn't get involved in that. You should
Correct.
encourage them to talk to the property manager and negotiate
Communication.
that out.
Yeah.
Where there's a will to buy or a will to sell, we can make it happen. Just call us.
And can I talk about one more thing real quick?
Oh my God, you said
Yeah.
you had your one last thing.
Well, I think this is important. So I got my Realtor magazine in the mail yesterday, and I actually sat down last night and read the whole thing. And I know most of you never even
all
opened
gonna be
this
in the newsletter.
magazine because there are well over 100 of them in a mail bin in the Summerlin office right now. And guess what? After a week or so, we will throw away 100 of them. But this was really a good magazine. There are 283 business tips in here to help you guide you through where do we go from here.
Ooh.
I suggest you. Yours is probably at the office.
Yours is in the trash
Can I
can.
have this one?
Make sure that has her name on it.
Yeah, that one doesn't even have Janet's name on it.
Yes, it does. What name is on there?
Janet
All right.
Carpenter.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's wrap this up. I hope you guys all had as much fun as we did.
I don't think it's possible.
Remember, we got our virtual happy hour this Thursday at 4 o'clock. Meet the candidates and vote for me and vote for Ellie.
I'll treasure your vote.